Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Realm of Ori. In this video, we will continue with Volume 12, Chapter 5 War on the Horizon, Part 2. And before we start, this video contains spoilers from the anime and manga series. And by the way guys, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon to get notifications for upcoming videos. So without further ado, let's get into the video. After going through the labyrinth to make sure it was in good condition, I visited each of the guardians. Actually, I wanted to see just how they evolved with my own eyes. Their growth was staggering. With the power they currently had in the labyrinth, I couldn't imagine them losing to the Empire. After a few days, I went to try out the observation magic I had finally finished after a bit of work. The place was the Strategic Military Control Battle Command Center, commonly known as the Control Room. Thus, that's what I settled on with Veldora and Ramiris. Since Benimaru and the others simply called it the Control Room, few people knew its original name. We were absolutely prepared for war. And if the invasion never came and all of this was for nothing, I'd still count it as a win, right? The results of the observation magic turned out extremely well. The same big screens that we used during the tournament were set up to show situations from various locations. Several places in the Great Jura Forest, along the trade routes of the Dwarven Kingdom, as well as a lot of other critical places could be surveilled at any time. Everything from the sea route bordering the Kingdom of Farmanas to the peak of the Canet Mountains, all of it was projected in full detail. Lens-shaped water droplets that I had devised for the physical magic Megiddo were controlled by spirits. The huge lenses that I deployed near the stratosphere reflected a magnified view of the target destination. Taking a page out of Moss's book, I had sent out a herd of tiny slimes, each a clone, and used them as a medium to activate the magic on site. My clones were too tiny to act autonomously, which had the added benefit of requiring no magicules so long as I didn't consciously act on them. On the flip side, moving them to the places I wanted to see was quite the challenge, but Sue and Moss handled that for me quite well. It was a very handy, low-cost solution. I named this physical magic Argos, the Eye of God. Now people could activate Megiddo in the place shown on screen while they were in the control room. I fired a beam at Gobta's feet while he was training in a clearing, but I didn't expect it to work so well. I'll never forget the look on Gobta's face as he jumped in shock. Megiddo's performance had also improved. If I were to face off against a human army, I bet I could reduce them to ashes without lifting a finger. After my little upgrades to the magic, it really seemed that strong. Satisfied with the outcome of my experiment, I returned to my office. Not a moment too soon, Shuna came by to let me know that we had guests. By that, I could see that there were quite a few guests. Shinji and the other two were waiting nervously in the guest room, which Shuna escorted me to. They were granted asylum in our country, and so we asked them for as much information as they could share with us over the last few days. Today, they came to report that. So, have you decided what you're going to do? They were torn between the choice of working in my kingdom or becoming freelance adventurers. If they wanted to continue being adventurers, they could strike it rich by challenging the dungeon over and over. Although I would give the right job to the right person, I also promised that they would live a steady life. However, right now the war with the Empire was near at hand, so they seemed to be afraid that they would be drafted into the war. I didn't intend to force anyone, but I couldn't guarantee that the three of them wouldn't get involved. Yes, after discussing amongst the three of us, we decided to work for His Majesty Rimuru's country. Because Master Gadra is also going to serve this country, would you allow us to do the same? Understood. In that case, you're welcome to join us. Thank you very much. I promise to do my very best. I'll do my best. Just like that, the trio became part of my country. So, what kind of job should I give them? I'll let old Gadra-san manage the 60th floor. This way, he can research the Demon Colossus in order to pilot it in the future. That old man had an unquenchable thirst for knowledge and became deeply invested in the topic. So much so, that he couldn't contain his excitement when I presented him with the Demon Colossus. Right now, Adelman was supervising him. In the future, I had plans of letting Gadra become the guardian of the 60th floor. So, you guys don't want any part in the war, right? Yeah, there are people that we know, so if it is fine with you. Then, rather than becoming my subordinate, maybe they could become researchers in the dungeon. On that note, I decided to introduce the three of them to Ramiris. We strolled into the dungeon and headed to Ramiris's lab. Ramiris, this is Shinji and his friends, would you like them to work at your place? Rimuru, those kids that visited before? Yep. Ramiris had been looking for an assistant, but she hadn't found one yet that was up to task. Right then, Shinji and the others appeared, and they happened to be the right people for the job. Yahoo, I'm Ramiris. Are you guys interested in working as my new assistants? Fantastic. Hey, Shinji, fairies really exist? Was this the first time that they met a fairy? I had no idea how long they had been in this world, but his reaction to seeing a fairy proved that this guy was more genuine than I thought. I am looking for useful assistants. I'll give you a good salary, so, what do you think? Rimuru also said that since we lack researchers, educated otherworlders are a great value. I agree. I think I'd be more at peace with research. So then, please take us on. Seems like you guys are gonna be useful. Very well, you all passed. However, you must obey my orders to the letter. I was shocked by how quickly she flipped. It felt like her modest approach a moment ago had been a ruse. To say that it was typical of Ramiris would be an understatement. They would be paid 3 gold coins per month, meaning their annual salary would be 36 gold coins, along with a bonus. It was better not to count on the bonus, though, because Ramiris paid it according to her mood, as did I. However, it looked like she would be taking charge of their food, clothing, and shelter. They would probably mainly use our cafeteria, but that shouldn't be an issue. That wrapped up Shinji and his 2 friends' speedy immigration. A few days later, it seemed that the trio got used to their job and were busy working as Ramiris's assistants. That was all well and good, so my next worry was Gadra. We'd lost touch with Gadra ever since he returned to the Empire. I'm sure that old man's doing fine, he's a tough guy. I started to worry about him though and hoped to get in touch. With that on my mind, I went to the control room to have a meeting with Benimaru. The big surveillance screen showed footage from my Argos. It showed all of the surveilled locations, but I couldn't spot anything out of the norm. It doesn't look like there's going to be any movement today. Yeah, by the way, this magic is really nifty, isn't it? It's what you've been working on recently, right, Rimuru-sama? That's right. The greatness of this magic begins with its unconventional conception and out-of-the-box thinking. The cost to performance is incredible. Not to mention its convenience, and the complexity of the calculations needed for it to activate are as fine as a beautiful work of art. So, stop. Hold it right there. If you can't stop gushing over it, just do it somewhere I can't hear you, okay? Diablo's sudden gushing was something I just didn't want to deal with. Yeah, Diablo, if you don't pull yourself together a bit, you'll bother Rimuru-sama. That's ridiculous. What are you saying, Benimaru? That's not true, right, Rimuru-sama? No, Benimaru is right. You're overreacting too much. It's always wonderful Rimuru this, incredible Rimuru that, it's totally overblown. This was the perfect time to properly call Diablo out on it. He deflated like a punctured balloon, utterly devastated. It wasn't anything serious, though, just him being dramatic. When I heard that Diablo was a powerful demon or something called primordial, I didn't know what to do about it. But if you really thought about it, he was a weirdo from the start. He even made a fool out of Guy, so you'd just make a fool of yourself if you took him seriously. I had realized that, so I wanted to be alert. Kufufufufu. How incredible of Rimuru-sama, even your mere words inflicted excruciating mental damage to my soul. Didn't I just tell you to stop it, right? This guy was incapable of self-reflection. Having a stern word with him was just fine. Our heartwarming conversation was interrupted by a sudden report. Rimuru, there has been a direct spatial transfer to the Labyrinth. This feedback, it came from the old-timer that recently became our ally. Understood. I'll go to the 70th floor right away.